Today I've got the new Olight Warrior Mini 3. This is the updated version of the Warrior Mini 2 that I previously reviewed, and you can check out the link up here. If there was ever a perfect EDC light for me with a combination of size and brightness and user interface, the Warrior Mini 2 was, the Warrior Mini 3 is, the 2 still is that perfect light. And I'll get into the whys I love all those things for those perfect reasons a little bit later. But suffice it to say, let's talk about the lights first. I'm gonna do this video in two parts. First, I'm gonna talk about the Warrior Mini 3, and then I will compare it to the Warrior Mini 2. That way, if you have the 2, you're debating whether you should upgrade to the 3, and we'll kind of cover some possibilities with that. First, let's talk about what you get with it. You get the standard Olight packaging, which, not to go off on the packaging, but I love their packaging. It's just such nice, clean packaging. They have that well-lit picture of all their lights on the box, and that light is the exact same size of the real light when you put it over it. So it's just a ingenious packaging, very clean, the specs on the back. Again, I know everyone's gonna throw the box out, as I have, but I do love their packaging. You get an instruction manual and a safety manual. Who's reading the safety manual? Anyone? Just curious. But you get both of these. The safety manual is actually bigger than the instruction manual. Of course, they're in a bunch of languages. You get the Olight magnetic charging cable. It comes with the 2 amp one. You can tell because it's red, and that affixes onto the back there for their magnetic charging. USB on the other end of it. It comes with a mounting bracket. This is metal because the tail cap on this is magnetic. So you can mount this on a wall or your nightstand or in a garage or wherever, and you can then stick the light right onto it because, again, it's magnetic. If you are a little extra Olight enthusiast and you want to be able to read that Olight logo wherever you put it, you can mount it sideways and you can mount the light to the side of it. That's how strong the magnet is. For that matter, you could mount the light to the bottom of it, to the side of it. It's that thin, but that's how strong the magnet on that tail cap is. This is not the way I would do it, but you certainly can. On the back of it, there's some 3M double-sided tape, and they do give you an extra piece of that in case you decide you want to move that mounting somewhere else. Going over just the basic specs of this light, this puts out up to 1750 lumens, and it will throw that the calculated 240 meters and candela of 14,000. So a fairly focused, good throwing beam from this light. Price-wise, I'm not sure at the time of this recording because this is pre-release. However, I will put a link down here and you can check out that price. And as always, if you can get Olights on sale, they always have their monthly sales. Try and pick one up on sale because always great deal for that. The colors, it comes in 3 colors: black, midnight horizon, and forest gradient. That is to say black, blue black, and green black. Size-wise, a little bit bigger than palm size. Not too big, not too thick. I think just kind of the right size for a not too large EDC pocket type carry when you want something a little bit larger. Next, let's look at the construction of it. On the back, there is that tail cap. That tail cap, as I mentioned, is magnetic, and you can mount this to the included mount that they provide, or you can stick it on a refrigerator or the hood of a car or a cabinet or wherever else you might want to mount that. That tail cap is also how you charge the light. You put that magnetic charger right on there. It goes red when it's charging and crosses over to green when it is fully charged. I do love the Olight charging. Super simple, super easy. No fumbling with USB-C cables, things like that. Moving forward, the body has some pretty aggressive, although comfortably aggressive, knurling. Not going to drop it. The pocket clip is the standard Olight 2-way pocket clip. Either carry it here or here. It is tip-up carry only. So you can't put it in your pocket this way. You could, however, it's going to stick out a fair amount because of the way that pocket clip is. If you don't mind that, I guess this may help prevent pocket gate, where people's pockets were getting set on fire. Although the proximity sensor is improved on this, we'll talk about that, so that may help prevent that. But I guess if it's tip up and the light is on, well, it's in your face and then your pocket sticking out, so, oh, hey, my light's on. Let me turn this off and not set my face on fire. But that's the pocket clip. It is removable if you're so inclined. And it's also in a fixed position, which I think is a good idea. It is only complete opposite of where the button is. And I think that's very good because the button in the dark, if you're fumbling for it, can be a little bit hard to find. I mean, again, here, okay, I know it's a rubberized feeling there, but I think the ideal of that pocket clip being in one spot is, you know, okay, the pocket clip is exactly opposite of the button. So I put the light in my hand with the pocket clip there, and the button is going to be right there. The button is right there. This does have two buttons, as I mentioned, the rear tail button and the side button. There's some blue anodized finishing around that. This button does have a charge indicator, so when you turn the light on, it will light up green when it is greater than 60%, orange at 10 to 60%, and red at less than 10%. Photo of that is the head with some crenulations around the bezel there. Both, I would say you could use this in a weapony sort of way, although they're not super sharp, but you could. But also if this is sit on a surface, you can see if the light is on or not. Inside the head is a TIR lens. I'm not sure what the LED is. It's not listed in the packaging. Probably be on the website. Eventually you can check that out. But you do get a pretty good throw out of that head. And then up in there that you can sort of see, it's over here, is their new proximity sensor. And the proximity sensor on this one is even smarter. And the way this works, a little early on the user interface, but as long as we're talking about the proximity sensor, if the light comes on to full brightness, the proximity sensor is going to dim it down to medium. However, if you have the light on a full brightness and you bring it up to something, it is not going to engage that proximity sensor because the light says, hey, this is the brightness that you wanted. You wanted this bright level, so I'm not going to dim that down because this is what you picked. Freedom of choice, right? But if this is within about this distance, you can see here, there's the distance. That proximity sensor is going to kick it from high or turbo down to medium. So if it is in your pocket, somewhere like that, it's going to come on and it's going to go down to that medium. So it's going to be less likely to burn a hole in your pocket or wear the battery out. One of the things Olight always amazes me with is that they always put so many innovative features in their lights, and I think this new smart proximity sensor is a great example of that. Now covering the user interface, and as I mentioned, I absolutely love the user interface on this light because I think it's just perfect for both an EDC and a tactical light, and you can use it at the same time in both. So it has the side button. Again, very similar to most standard flashlights. If you long press it, you're going to get that moonlight mode. Half a lumen, it's going to do that for 100 days. I'm not going to go through all the run times, but I'll put them up on the screen here. You can check them out, but it comes onto that moonlight mode, and then from there you just hold it down and it will ramp through low, medium, high. Cycle through low, medium, high. It does have mode memory for, in this case, even, so there's low, turn it off, back onto low. However, if you turn it on to moonlight and you turn it off on moonlight, you turn it back on to moonlight, it comes back onto the moonlight. So unlike, I think, every other light that I've ever seen, this one has mode memory for low, medium, high, and moonlight. Not the turbo, not the strobe, but this is one of the few lights that I've seen that has mode memory for the moonlight. So you can do that. From any brightness, you double click, that'll get to the turbo. Triple click, that'll get to the strobe. And then off. So that's the side button. The rear button has a couple different ways that it functions. If you half press it, you get medium. Full press it, you get turbo. If you hold it, it's going to act in a purely momentary way. So again, if you're doing some room sweep, you're not able to accidentally turn the light on if you're going to sweep the room and then let go. It's going to go back off because that is a purely momentary, either in medium or in the turbo. However, if you just tap it, it's going to come on. Tap and release, going to come on. Tap and release to turbo, it's going to come on. So I love that the tail cap has both tactical functions for momentary, both medium and turbo, or EDC where you can click it on to medium or click it on to turbo. Okay, I just love the user interface between the two. If it is in any of the modes from the side button, clicking the tail cap will turn it off. There is also a different, a kind of, I don't know if it's more tactical, but a strobe momentary. And the way that you get into the other user interface mode is you hold the tail cap down, press the side button, and now the tail cap goes into only momentary medium, so you can't click it on, or if you hold it down, it goes into the turbo and is purely momentary in this mode. So you can't click it into the turbo. It just clicks, it's again purely momentary, and both on the medium and the turbo. And then to get back, you hold it down, click the side button, and it's now back into, I don't know, mode 1 or whatever they might call it. I appreciate that they have hidden the strobe effectively because I never use the strobe on my lights, but it's there if you want it. And if you're someone that uses the strobe a lot, well, you can activate it so that it is kind of always there for you. Your choice. Again, another smart feature from Olight with this Warrior Mini 3. Taking this outside and looking at it, the beam profile in this is a good amount of flood and throw, more thrower than flood, but plenty good for up close stuff. But when you need to reach out to the distance, like the water tower, which is, I don't know, 100 somewhere over 100 yards away, you can get to that. And it's going to be, again, great size for when you need that turbo. When the light is on for a while, it does tend to get kind of warm. The head gets kind of warm, and it's going to do that turbo for 2 minutes before ramping down to 2 different subsequent brightnesses that will do for 3.5 hours and 30 minutes. But 2 minutes on that turbo and a warm head. Now let's do a comparison between the Warrior Mini 2 and the Warrior Mini 3. As you can see, the Warrior Mini 3 is just a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact, so it's going to be nicer in your pocket, take up less space. Price, again, I'm not sure at the time of this recording, but I suspect they're going to be similar. The Warrior Mini 3 has farther throw. It's rated at 240 meters versus 220 meters. Are you going to be able to tell that difference in real life? Well, we'll take a look at it outside. It does have higher candela, 14,000 versus 12,300. Again, check out the beam shots outside, and you can see that it does have a more focused beam and is going to throw a little bit farther. They both have TIR lenses up in the head there. They both have proximity sensors. The side button on the Warrior Mini 3 is larger, so it's going to be a little bit easier to find with your thumb. And as I mentioned, because that pocket clip is fixed at 180 degrees from the button, it's going to be easy there. The Warrior Mini 2 does have a reversible pocket clip, which I prefer. If you put it up on the head, it is also locked into that spot directly opposite of the button, because you couldn't have it over the button anyway. But if it's in the back, you can rotate it around. It's a nice anodized blue on the Warrior Mini 2 and just black on the Warrior Mini 3. On the inside of the light, it does come with an Olight 18650 3500 milliamp hour battery, rechargeable, of course. And of course, some O-rings to help with that IPX8 weather protection rating. So overall, as I mentioned, I love this light. It is almost a perfect EDC light for me when I want to carry something a little bit larger and a little bit brighter than my i3T. I love the size, not too big and not too small. I love the user interface for both an EDC and a tactical kind of way. I love that there's the 2 buttons depending on how you're holding it, and you can get to the brightnesses kind of from both buttons. I like that the strobe is hidden, because if, like me, I never use a strobe. I like that it's there but hidden. You're not forced into it every time. So really, I love this light. If you have the Warrior Mini 2, is it worth upgrading to the Warrior Mini 3? I mean, as with everything else, it depends. You save a little bit of size, is a little bit brighter, it throws a little bit farther. The moonlight mode is twice the time, 100 days versus 45 days. The rest of the outputs are kind of similar in brightness and time. This is a little bit brighter. They both go 1750 lumens, but the Warrior Mini 3, having a higher candela and a more focused beam, is going to get a little farther throw out of it, a little more light on target, as it were. If I didn't have either, I would absolutely get the Warrior Mini 3. If you have the 2, is it worth getting the 3? I don't know. The Olight fanatics of the world will definitely get both, and I love it. I might upgrade just for the little easier size on your pocket. But put some comments down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've got one or both, or what you think your decision is between the 2. But awesome lights. In this case, the new Olight Warrior Mini 3.